Well, internet, we've done it not once, not twice, but 3 times. We have successfully shut down every US major vendor. And it is impossible to get a PlayStation. It is seemingly impossible to get a Series X. And it was also impossible to get a 3080 graphics card, which really begs the question, what the hell have all these vendors been doing in an online era? There have been months and months and months of increased demand on their infrastructure, and from my opinion, they have not done a very good job of bolstering up their infrastructure in preparation for pretty much the 3 biggest selling events, I will say, of this fall season. It's surprising to me that we are having so many problems with this, and it's also surprising to me that we are now, in the midst of going through the Series X launch as I'm recording this video at 11:27 a.m. I'm seeing the Twitter feeds roll through of people trying unsuccessfully to get into sites not loading, vendor pages not coming up. It's just a total cluster. PlayStation and Microsoft did things very differently. PlayStation actually didn't announce anything. And it kind of was the vendors, really led by Walmart, leading the charge to just say, hey, we're selling them now. And like wildfire, this spread through the internet. Everybody quickly ran online as fast as possible to try to get one. And it was a really interesting event. A lot of people who didn't get one, who weren't aware that the launch was going on, incredibly frustrated, incredibly disappointed. PlayStation even came out and apologized in a very interesting move. I don't really think PlayStation was too at fault here. I wish they were a little more clear on when pre-orders were going to go live, but I guarantee you PlayStation did not press the button, so to speak, on Walmart and Best Buy and Target and Amazon to say, okay, go sell our stuff now. Those decisions were made by those retailers in an effort to snipe other retailers. And Walmart went first, and we know Walmart has a tendency, particularly Walmart Canada, to leak things to get your money first. Because you're not going to be buying 10 of these, right? You're going to buy one, and they want that sale to be with them. There is competition here, folks. That is the nature of capitalism. On the opposite end of the spectrum, you had Xbox, who has been touting from the hills now, hey, we are going to go live on this date, on this time, and everybody's been kind of compiling and getting their lists together of all the particular vendors to hit to make sure that they have their particular vendor ready to go. And then at about, I would say 10:50 or so a.m. Eastern Standard Time, 10 minutes before the big moment, everybody got on their computers and started hitting the sites. Now, I went on just out of curiosity, as you guys know, despite the fact I'm rocking a Fan Fest shirt, one of the coolest events I've ever been to, despite the fact I got Sea of Thieves art behind me on the wall here. I have no intention of getting a Series X, at least at launch. If they have a collector edition or something, we'll talk. But yeah, I had no intention. But just out of curiosity, I wanted to see, could I get one? And I still got it. I could do it if I wanted to. I had it in my cart. I bought it, and then I immediately canceled it just to release it into the wild. I didn't want one. I just wanted to see if I could do it. But not that I'm so great. As I talked about in my previous video, which you can see a link up here talking about my experience with PlayStation, this is a challenge. This is manipulating URLs. This is manipulating different things on my computer to make sure that I have a competitive advantage, and it shouldn't be this way. It seems out of everybody, GameStop may have learned their lesson by creating a virtual queue. I'm not entirely sure how well that experience went for many people. I have zero buying confidence with GameStop. I think they're a really bad company, and I don't think they're going to be around much longer. Maybe this push of sales will keep them going one more year. I would be incredibly nervous to buy anything from GameStop, PlayStation or Xbox. I don't think they're going to be around, but enough about beating up them. But they actually did have a virtual queue, which was interesting. Not even the Microsoft stores seemed to pull that off. And it just remained to be a cluster. So regardless if you're a fan of Xbox, regardless if you're a fan of PlayStation, or if you're a PC master racer who's trying to get those 3080s, it seems like it's just incredibly difficult to get your hands on this stuff, which goes to show, one, how popular and how desired it is, but two, really does reflect poorly on all of these vendors and really does reflect poorly on their infrastructure to make sure that it's easy to actually get through and pull it off. It seems to me that whether it is a crapshoot or whether it is a, hey, it is this date and time, people like myself and people who have created bots, which buy thousands of these things in a very short amount of time, have definitely found a better way to game the system than others. And it is disappointing. I think back to a lot of other virtual events that I've tried to attend, whether it be BlizzCon, whether it be FanFest tickets, and I can promise you across the board, those events have always been horribly, horribly managed in terms of securing a ticket or showing interest or confidence in there. Not even PlayStation's lottery, which I have seen bits and pieces of people talking about, saying, "Oh, I did get a an email saying I was allowed to enter." Those seem to be primarily reserved for the big influencers who were gonna get one anyway. So even PlayStation's internal attempt to create some sort of control didn't necessarily seem to work out. But here we are, 2020, the craziest year ever in my life. It continues even further with all of these crazy, crazy pre orders and nonsense. I can guarantee you already, if I went on eBay, I would find people scalping Series S, Series X, 3080s, and PlayStation 5s at an incredible markup. And unfortunately, people are going to be so desperate to buy them that they're going to pay an exorbitant amount of money. The only thing I can tell you guys is, there is no silver bullet answer in getting these. I've seen this launched 3 different times now with 3 super hot items, and all 3 have failed. So I don't know what the takeaway is. I don't have any suggestion for it other than you got to get good at refreshing. You got to understand basic source code. I'm not sorry, URL. You got to understand redirects. You got to see what page is going to take you where. Obviously, you have to have your credit card information already stored. You have to be ready to go. You have to know where the buttons are on the page, because having your mouse here versus mouse here will cost you half a second, and that might be the half a second that matters. And I know it sounds trivial, but I'm telling you guys clearly, you're seeing it. It's not. So good luck to everybody who got one. Sorry for the people that didn't. I suspect they're obviously going to be making more. I don't know what the supply and demand on this is. And quite frankly, as I close out this video, I'm really surprised Xbox actually was this big of a demand. Maybe was the Bethesda acquisition that kind of got that idea in people's minds, but largely from what I've seen on the internet, which you take that with a huge grain of salt, it seems to me that most people favored getting a PlayStation over an Xbox. So were there people like me just trying to see if they could do it for funsies, or were there people legitimately who wanted one of these who weren't able to get one? Or is it just the price is nice? I don't know. I'd be curious to see that, and this will be a phenomenal case study in months when we start to see the layout of the units sold and the interest, of both consoles in terms of like what ends up being more desired than another. So that's it for me. I'm going to close out this video. Leave a comment below. Let me know your horror stories on either PlayStation, Xbox, or the 3080. Or leave your success story. Tell me how great it was, and maybe some tips for everybody else who didn't get one, who I'm sure these things are going to restock again at some point. What's the best way to get one? Thank you guys so much for watching. Take care of yourselves, and until next time, I will see you guys on the other side.